This is AM 730 KQP in West Memphis, Marion, Arkansas, Memphis, Tennessee.
Get ready for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. For the next hour, we will forget about the black man, we will forget about the white man, and we will deal with the human. Pastor Andre Guy is here to answer your questions from a biblical perspective. He's an humble man who's on a mission to bring the church together with a Bible and a dictionary. He will tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help him God. And now, here's Pastor Andre Guy.
Well, good evening, members and the rest of the world. Welcome to another edition of The Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I'm Andre Guy Reed. Hey, you got a cue here. And for the next hour, let's forget about the black man. Let's forget about the white man. Let's deal with the human from a Bible perspective, if you will. Feel free to call in at 901-452-3094 or 901-324-7490 for the comments, suggestions, agreements, or even disagreements we may have. We can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. Okay, the Truth Radio Show brought to you by the Truth Radio Network. We deal with everything from sex, race, religion, politics, and even sometimes sports from a Bible perspective. Oh yeah, if it seems like I'm prejudicial, if it seems like I have an agenda, you are correct. Okay. Jesus the Christ is my agenda. Jesus the Christ is what I come to present, and on the Word of God is where I stand. So if you think that I have an agenda of that, you are so correct. About the news today, stuff going on that is really troubling for the church, but the people of the church are not sounding the alarm, not making themselves aware, not even standing as a united front. Okay. The homosexual community again. Now they've come up against Hallmark film because Hallmark has the movie channel for families. True. And they had a scene where two lesbians got married. And they got some complaints from a conservative women's group. And they poured it. Well, the homosexuals came after them and did them like Chick-fil-A, where they made them not donate to Christian organizations anymore. Don't be surprised they start, open on Sundays. And so they came out to Hallmark. Let me play this. And what caught my attention with the story, there was a homosexual spokesman that was talking, and the statement they made was so chilling. Is that get used to it, because we here. That was so chilling. Get used to it, because they letting you know we're going to put this perversion in your schools, in the media, on your children. Get used to it. And those of us that proclaim to be of the faith are being silent. Take a listen.
Ad featuring a same-sex couple kissing at the altar. The CEO of Hallmark is now apologizing and saying in a statement, in part, Hallmark is and always has been committed to diversity and inclusion, both of course, after it had pulled an ad featuring a same-sex couple kissing at the altar. The CEO of Hallmark is now apologizing and saying in a statement, in part, Hallmark is and always has been committed to diversity and inclusion, both in our workplace as well as the products and experiences we create. It is never Hallmark's intention to be divisive or generate controversy. We are an inclusive company and have a track record to prove it. The Hallmark Channel will be reaching out to Zola to reestablish our partnership and reinstate the commercials. Now, this reversal comes after swift backlash when the channel pulled this ad last week. That original decision came after the conservative group 1 Million Moms campaigned to have that ad removed. And here with me now is Sarah Kate Ellis. She is the president and CEO of GLAAD, which is an LGBTQ advocacy group. Sarah Kate, thanks for being here. First, your reaction to this reversal.
Well, I'm thrilled. I think it was off-brand for Hallmark Channel to begin with, so we were surprised by it. It came out of nowhere. But we're working with Hallmark. We're talking to them. We've been talking to them all weekend because they want to do the right thing. And I think that the quick reversal is the right thing. And now we have to watch and make sure and see what they do in the future.
So do you believe your conversations then contributed to this new decision?
I'm hopeful. I think, yeah. I don't think that they were expecting this kind of backlash. and we organized quickly as a community. The LGBTQ community always has. That's how we've advanced equality and acceptance through the years. And we did it around this too, because this doesn't reflect the holidays, and this doesn't reflect our world today and who families are. And I think, you know, for my wife and I to try to explain this to our 10-year-old twins is mortifying.
What were those discussions like as you were expressing those sentiments to Hallmark?
They were personal, honestly, because it is my family that they're telling that shouldn't be on television, should be censored, shouldn't exist, and that we're considered controversial. And so, they have a track record of doing good by and for the LGBTQ community. So I think this was a hasty decision on their part that they just as quickly backtracked on.
So, you want to watch the Family Channel from now on? Get used to it. Because they're here.
Well, that's any channel you trying to watch now. Any channel, any shows, new shows you watch, they're going to have some kind of homosexual or lesbian scene in it.
In a public school that you send your children to, in a lot of churches, in the churches that you go in, from the pastor to the musician.
Yeah, that's true.
901-452-3094 or 901-324-7490. And it's like God doesn't care anything about this at all. Is it that God doesn't care? Or is it that those of us that proclaim to be believers don't care? Give me a call, let me know. Tell you this, I found it interesting when I got to Mother Jones. Thank you, Mother Jones. A doctor, well, not a doctor, but a doctor, he did some research on this. These children, these parents, I put into their head that boys would have girls inside of them and girls have boys inside of them. Well, he did this little documentary, about 3 minutes long, about the psychological effects you're having promoting this homosexual agenda. Take a listen to that.
Where a person's physical, biological sex is one, say a boy, but in the person's mind they think they're really a girl, or vice versa. It's not something that you can identify on any objective test. You can't do a blood test, for example. You can't do MRI imaging. You can't do genetic testing to actually find this gender identity. My name is Dr. Michael Laidlaw. I'm an endocrinologist in Rockland, California. This gender identity, which really a child saying, I believe I'm this, I believe I'm a boy, I believe I'm a girl, something opposite of their body. Once they say that, they go down this road of gender affirmative therapy. That consists of social transition, wearing, say, stereotypical clothes of the opposite sex to pretend that they're the opposite sex. Then these puberty blockers, then these cross-sex hormones, and then finally surgical modifications to the body to try to make the person appear that they're the opposite sex. Puberty blockers are powerful hormones. They act on a small gland in the brain called the pituitary, and this controls the sex organs. For example, testicles make testosterone, ovaries make estrogen, and the pituitary controls that happening. Now, these blockers stop this action, and then whereas, say, a girl is in age 9 and continuing or beginning to develop in puberty and should continue on until a full adult woman, it's stopped. Once you stop it, there are various harms and problems that occur afterwards. Unfortunately, many of our professional organizations are advocating for this, including the Endocrine Society. And it's important to bear in mind that there's very small groups of people controlling these societies. Small groups of people are making these pronouncements, and then when physicians want to turn to what's the best practice, they're finding these things. And there's no rigorous research done. There's no controlled studies. It's very poor research, but it's, I guess, politically correct to go down these roads by these organizations. Doctors will feel compelled to follow what their organization says without really looking into the evidence necessarily. There is heavy-duty propaganda basically going on, but these gender clinics have sprung up and have multiplied all across the country. The numbers are going up around the world, in the UK, Canada, here, other places. More and more kids are being diagnosed with this, and there's a social contagion component. People, kids going on to YouTube, Tumblr, things like that. So the cases are rising. It's a major problem that we have to address. In my practice as a physician, I always look at side effects of medications before I give anything to anyone. Say for diabetics, I always tell them, if you can work on your diet and exercise first, I'd rather have you do that than take these medications, because there's side effects and there's problems that are potential. But if you need it, then you need to take it. With this, I can see no need to take these medications. I see the risk as being very high, and I see children as a very vulnerable population, can't speak up for themselves, and their parents are often propagandized by this movement. I've met a lot of these parents. My heart goes out to them. I've seen their kids and pictures of their kids, and really, it's about helping kids.
901-452-3094, 901-324-7490. Thank you.
Well, they didn't do the study, don't know the research, they don't have the right facts for it, but they go out there and do it. But they can make the kids sterile. If they stop them putting...
It's just like a racist child.
Mm-hmm.
No child is born racist.
No.
Somebody that has to teach that to them. And in this case right here, there's nothing genetically that is in this stuff. Sure, everybody born with a sin nature, so you might have some boys that might have an attraction to some boys. You might have a girl that might have an attraction to some girls. That's a spirit that has to be dealt with through prayer, fasting, and prayer. It's a spirit. But now this system that we have now, what's happening here is that children are curious, and they know this.
True.
They're going in and planting the seed of homosexuality with these children. I keep thinking back to that Planned Parenthood playbook that they have in the school. They're exposing the child to every kind of sex except heterosexual sex. It's not a mistake, man. It's by design. But yet, the people, through their liberal ideology, I want to do what I want to do. They don't care if it goes against God. And in case you don't remember, let's listen to it again. What they go in the school system. Yeah. Teaching your children right here in Shelby County and all across these United States. And you won't take advantage of the options you have. You got homeschool, charter school, voucher for private school. You don't have to expose your child to this. You don't have to keep going. If you pull your children out of these public schools and they're not getting those federal dollars, they'll quit promoting this homosexual agenda. Let's take a listen to some of the stuff they're teaching your children in the school.
Representative Bennett, I have the book here that you referenced. It's perfectly normal. And I just want to make sure that I understood you correctly in what you said, that Planned Parenthood references this book as part of their comprehensive sex education.
Representative Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Lucero, they endorse it on their webpage as their model curriculum for what they'd like to see for comprehensive sex education for elementary and secondary.
Representative Lucero.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I had previously referenced the language in the bill that talks about this content is going to be targeted at elementary students. Representative Bennett referenced it's going to be down to kindergartners and pre-K. When I look at the cover of this book, it's for age 10 and up. 10-year-olds, Madam Speaker, remember, is 4th grade. 4th graders. Well, if this content, if the decorum exists to expose 4th graders to this content, then this content can be exposed here on the House floor. So I'm flipping through these pages and I'm looking at some of this stuff. 4th graders, there are drawings of naked men and women. I see a picture here for a 4th grader of a woman being taught to look in a mirror in a compromising position. 4th graders. Continuing to flip the pages. Page 43. Masturbation is perfectly normal. You know what, members? Representative Lippert, you referenced we all are looking to have the same goal. This is not the goal that I have. To expose 4th graders to masturbation and that it's perfectly normal? No, views of the communities that I represent and the vast majority of parents across Minnesota do not ascribe to these values. Members, I hate that I even have to describe this book. I hate this. But the fact is, this is what this language, the language in this bill before us, seeks to expose the minds of our young people to. And before we cast that vote, we need to be familiar with the content that you're voting to expose their minds to. So continuing on. Here it is on page 8. Who you are. Straight, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, plus.
Heterosexual. They did say straight.
Should a fourth grader be exposed to this content?
Fourth grader know about it.
Exactly. Or need to know.
The book speaks about anal, oral, vaginal sex, and that they're all equivalent. Who should be exposing the minds of this content? Who should do that? Parents, not the government. The book speaks about pornography and that it is not bad for you. That is not true. Psychology demonstrates that exposure to pornographic material has a detrimental impact, especially in the minds of young people who can't comprehend
the porn make
the material.
Relationship make you think you're gonna do it with a child.
Page 52 speaks about vaginal intercourse and orgasms. And it has a picture here of two people in a bed performing the act. Is this what 10-year-olds should be exposed to? Are you kidding me? I just can't believe this is even up for debate. This is perversion for our young people. Here it is on page 71. Abortion. Well, that makes sense. You got Planned Parenthood who's in the business of abortion, who makes money off abortion. They have a vested interest in promoting abortion to the ends of the earth so they can increase their profit. So of course they're going to endorse a book that's promoting abortion. 10-year-olds. The illustrations in this book are just disgusting. It is not normal. So what we're seeing here is moving exposure to this content to the elementary age group, language promoted by Planned Parenthood, and then it's assumed it's okay unless the parent opts out. We live in a day and age when there's been a paradigm shift in multiple areas where it should be assumed it's not okay until there's an affirmative opt-in. And this is one of those areas which should absolutely be the case. Empowering parents to give an affirmative opt-in, assuming it's not okay to begin with. Members, we just celebrated, or those who are Christians just celebrated Resurrection Day, Easter. And it was over this period of time that I was reminded of some comments from Jesus. One of the comments he spoke about was little ones. And I had this bill over the break. I was reading, you can see it marked up here. I have other language that's marked up. As I was contemplating this bill over this past Easter break and the words of Jesus Christ and the little ones, whosoever should offend one of these little ones, it would be better that a millstone were tied around his neck. To me, members, this is the type of content exposing young minds to content is the clear definition of offending little ones and polluting their minds with content that they are not ready for at elementary ages. Not ready for, shouldn't be part of their purview at that age. We need to wait until they're more mature. We need to ensure that parents are empowered and that there's an affirmative opt-in to this type of content.
901-452-3094 or 901-324-7490. Why is there no outrage, Pastor Brayden? Why is there no concern?
Most folks don't care because they trying to save these felon schools. They trying to get the folks to go back to the felon schools. They're doing all this teaching.
Is it because of Donald Trump?
No.
And speaking of Donald Trump, you know, he just made a deal with China where the tariff war stuff is over with and stuff. He made a great deal, man, with the farmers. They're going to make much, I mean, it's going to be harvest time and stuff. Instead of this offset what we've been having, where China is exporting everything, but importing little of anything. Now he's eating the table of someone. And you know, I sent a text to the other guy about that, right?
Right.
You know, he told me,
What tell you?
man, that ain't nothing with that deal. China made a fool out of us. And I thought about it. I said, you know, with this liberal ideology, no matter what this man do, I remember with Kim Jong-un, when he took off, everybody was scared to death. World War III was going to happen. World War III.
That's true.
Instead, we see a peace in North Korea that's not been seen since 1958. Then they come back in with the Democrats just came out with this new deal they just came up with. NAFTA hasn't been working, and they just worked out a deal between the United States, Mexico, and Canada for a new trade agreement for the United States that they just came up with. But it seemed kind of odd. I thought Donald Trump mentioned that about a year and a half ago that he had just came up with that. I heard him sitting up there talking about, well, he ain't did nothing with this prison reform package that he put out there. We got a better plan. What's your better plan? Impeach Donald Trump. Okay.
I think that's the only plan.
That's the only. He gonna kick him. People don't care how many policies these people pass, how many policies these people promote that is anti-God. They don't care. As long as I can get Donald Trump, they don't care. But I'll tell you what, though.
What's that?
I found a guy that toughened up a little bit for me. You know, you ever heard of a guy named Ben Carson?
Yeah, I heard of Ben.
Ben, I got to pull this thing up that got me around the house. Some of these email just came back up. So some of them I'm just getting them. Ben Carson went off the other day. Oh, I got to play this one. You know, Santa Claus is a black homosexual. You know that, don't you?
Huh?
Yeah, I think that would. Let me play this. I think that's what this is. Let me see.
Well, with the Christmas.
Let me see. I think that's what this is, Q. I think that's what this is.
Well, with the Christmas holiday right around the corner, millions of people are getting really into the spirit with the thoughts of family and gifts and, of course, Santa Claus.
So, do us a favor here.
Yeah.
Victor had a
It's buffering.
very good idea.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes with me and think of Santa and his spouse. Now open them.
Black old man.
This is the cover of the new book. Is this the image that popped in your head? This is the cover of Santa's Husband, a new children's book that hit stores nationwide this holiday season. And joining me now, the author, Daniel Kibblesmith, and illustrator Ashley Quatch. Good morning to both of you. Hey, good morning. So, certainly, thank you for coming in. This is new.
Here, liberal.
Daniel, first to you. What inspired Santa's Husband?
It was sort of inspired by the annual tradition we have in this country of pretending that there's a giant war on Christmas and that traditional Christmas is under attack. So among other things, we were reading all of the news about the Mall of America hiring a black Santa Claus last year. And me and my now wife made a joke on Twitter that if we ever had a child, they would only know about black Santa Claus. And if they saw a white Santa Claus at the mall, we would just explain, well, that's his husband. And then Ashley and I knew each other from the internet and from illustration already, and she jumped into my Twitter mentions and said, boom, new book.
Yeah, and it's out now, available everywhere, actually. So let me read a couple of pages here. It says, like any married couple, they have their disagreements, but they always manage to kiss and make up, usually over a plate of milk and cookies. I read one of the online responses, too. I'm African-American. My family collects Black Santa figures, but I grew up never seeing Black Santas in the mall or on TV. Now that my nephew is 2, he's starting to understand the idea of Santa, and this book lets him know that Santa isn't just the old white fellow he sees.
You want to see a Black Santa?
That's homosexual. Like, wow. And that's kind of cool. Ashley, important for children to see themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
One
of my favorite things about this book, and especially as it's come out, are friends that have children, that have families, that have not seen themselves yet represented, whether these are families of color or whether these are gay families with children. And I've just loved seeing the children interact with the book. They really do seem to get it.
Now, this is a lot for some parents. Some people may not agree with it. Let me read one of the criticisms here. I'm a gay man, and honestly, the book is pretty patronizing and obviously meant to take 2 sweet things, the image of Santa Claus and love between 2 adults, and use them as a tool to express a political opinion in a polarizing way, especially the news anchor scene, in the guise of a children's book. I find it overall patronizing. I'm a little disgusted that the authors obviously use homosexuality as a political weapon to make a political statement under the cover of children. Listen, the elves have health care coverage. They settle labor disputes. You address climate change. Rudolph and Frosty attend Santa and David's wedding. I mean, are you using a children's book to push a political ideology, Daniel?
Well, I think that's a legitimate criticism. I mean, I'm literally on the news anchor scene right now. But, that's just the world that we come from. I'm a political satire writer. So when, I have the opportunity to write a book, these are the things that I care about and that I'm interested in. My only real response to that, I think, is that we're trying to put a net positive into the world and contribute to a vacuum of representation. But these are obviously our views. They're not everybody's views. And we're just very flattered that the response has been overwhelmingly positive so far.
All right, Daniel Kibble-Smith and Ashley Quatch, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
901-452-3094 or 901-324-7490. They have no problem with it, They have no problem with it.
Nope. And because it's everywhere now. Wherever you turn, it's right there in your face. So motherfuckers getting desensitized to it now.
And especially the black community, they're probably behind this stuff blindly, man. They've abandoned all kind of moral value. They've abandoned Christian values. They've abandoned just general values, period, for the sake of blackness and liberalism. And it's sad. But I remember I told Ben Garland he got a little spunk that I didn't know about. Well, here go be.
For your courage to be here, because in the society that we live in today, it takes a lot of courage to say that you're supporting President Trump. And, it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. You go back to the days of slavery, and in a lot of the states there were more slaves than there were owners. So what did they do? They had to divide the slaves. So they told the ones in the house, you're better than the ones in the yard. And the ones in the yard, you're better than the ones in the field. And then after slavery was over, the light-skinned ones, you're better than the dark-skinned ones. And on it went, trying to divide people. And today, they say, if you are a conservative, then you are somehow an Uncle Tom, you're a horrible person, you're a demon. What a bunch of crap. But it's been going on for hundreds of years. And it's really time to put a stop to it. So I am very happy to see that you have the courage to come out. It doesn't bother me anymore because, I only worry about what God thinks. I don't worry about what these other people think. But sometimes people ask me, what happened to you? You changed. I haven't changed. I changed about 35 years ago because, you see, I grew up in Detroit, a bastion of liberalism. They call it progressivism now. They keep changing the name. But anyway, then from there to Boston, a bastion of liberalism. Back to Detroit, and then to New Haven, Connecticut, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Ann Arbor, Michigan, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Baltimore, Maryland, a bastion of liberalism. So I had no chance. I was a liberal. I was way out there. And then I did something that liberals are never supposed to do. I listened to a conservative. I listened to Ronald Reagan, and I said, he doesn't sound like a horrible racist person. He sounds just like my mother. And at that point, I started thinking for myself. And that made a big difference. It made a big difference in my medical career, too. I didn't do what everybody else did. I always started thinking out of the box. How do you solve this problem? And that's the reason that God gave us these complex brains. Your brain has billions and billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. It remembers everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard. It can process more than 2 million bits of information in 1 second. Would God give you something like that just so that you can be a sheep and follow what somebody else tells you to do? Or to think for yourself? And don't you find it fascinating that so many people say the president's a racist? He's a horrible racist and everything he does. Well, it seems to me like some years ago, Jesse Jackson actually gave the president an award in New York City because he opened so many opportunities for black people. Is that what a racist does? And then when he moved to Palm Beach, he was right on the forefront to fighting the clubs who were not admitting Jews and blacks. Does that sound like what a racist would do? He is the one who finally got the Second Chance Act done. Does that sound like what a racist would do? When he took office, he brought the office of HBCUs to the White House so it could get appropriate attention, more money than ever. Opportunity zones so that people could take this money and direct it to the places where
and that's when he played out. He just beat that little spark, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. It was getting good to me.
I think some people are starting to wake up and they're tired of being bullied and they're speaking out. Because it's really not even about Donald Trump, man.
Nope.
This is about God. This is about people that have an ideology to change the fabric of our society and remove it from following the instructions of God. You can lie to yourself and make it about your blackness, your emotionalism if you choose. And then this madness they got, we're going to impeach Donald Trump, we're going to impeach Donald. Nancy Pelosi said in a speech the other day, we've been trying to do this for 2.5 years. Wait a minute, I thought this was about the phone call to the Ukraine in July. If the man was elected, this is what this been about. Because he's trying to put God back into this country that is slowly but surely weeding him out. Let's pause and let's go to the call. Have a call about this show.
Hey, Pastor Guy.
Hey, Ray.
Man, I just woke up sitting here having a cup of coffee listening to your show today.
Okay.
We got too many cowards out here that are scared to speak up. And, I enjoyed what Ben Carson actually said, there a few minutes ago. And the other thing is, man, I don't want no black gay Santa Claus in my bedroom or my house.
And I don't want my children to see that.
Yeah, when I adopted my son, I told him who Santa Claus is. I said, it's me and your mom.
Okay.
Christmas is 365 days a week, and that's how we're going to live our life in Christ Jesus.
Amen, Ray. I ain't mad at you.
That's how I brought up my household. So, you know, for me, it's difficult sometimes, Pastor, that I can't get out in the community like I was back home and everything.
Let me ask you a question, Ray. In these years since Donald Trump has been elected, hold on, what's up? Trying to get this commercial play out, right? Just hold on, just 3 seconds if it stop buffering. I want to ask you this question.
President Trump made key marquee.
Wait. In these years since Donald Trump has been elected, and I know you go around your relatives and your friends, everybody you go around, you're not ashamed to tell people that you're conservative, you support Trump. And all the time that you go around telling people, have any people changed their mind? Have any people came away from the liberal Democratic side to the conservative side?
No.
Wow.
I mean, I sit there watching with my mom and my dad, and they watch that whole crap. Well, maybe the wrong word to use it, but
you talking about that impeachment hearing?
Yes.
And they like that?
They are so infatuated. And here's the sad part, Pastor.
Gentleman yields back.
You ever heard of a guy named Bill McCurry? He's a journalist. Look him up. He's for Channel 5. Well, he was on Channel 5 News. He's married to my mama, first cousin. And he then worked all his life for Fox.
Correct.
And they grew up around Trump in New York. We all seen Trump in New York City.
Okay.
And my daughter at these games, hockey, or whatever, we know who Trump is.
Okay.
Like we know who Rango and these people, because they used to go to these fantastic shows in New York.
Chuck Rango, right? Okay.
And you know, like my daddy said to my mom, you know who Trump is. He's gonna say what's on his mind. He always have here in New York City. Now all of a sudden he's a racist. It's hard for him to believe. My 85-year-old dad said it's hard for him to believe. But my mom said he's a racist. He's gonna put us back in slavery. I said, Mom, nobody wants you back in slavery.
That ain't what Joe Biden said. Joe Biden said they're gonna put y'all back in chains. Come on, get my son a job.
Yeah, with that angry black stuff sometimes that my mama can pull off just as well.
They do it.
We forget. When we came up, Pastor, in Newark, New Jersey, we did the right thing and knowing people in the city, working in the community, cleaning up, picking up paper. You remember, we didn't have neighborhoods back then that throw trash now. We had to pick up our neighbors and clean up our neighbors' yard.
Because back then, Ray, we had something called moral values, and we believed in another thing called family. I got to move on to the next call, my friend. Keep praying, keep preaching. Hello, caller, welcome to the show.
I don't know what the devil say Jesus is real. Hell is smoking, and we know the damn don't do it.
No, you ain't joking. Hey, man, what's going on with you?
Oh, man, everything coming up. You know, the Christmas season.
I am too.
You know, the young man he spoke about the Santa Claus. He said he shot about Santa Claus. You know that they have a Santa Claus. He said, hey, I mean, that's the right thing to do. If I was training them up the way you should go, train them to the Lord, let them know the Santa Claus is just a fake. The Jesus is real. This season is the cause of it.
What about Santa Claus being black and homosexual? What do you tell your child about that?
Black and homosexual.
Let me ask you a question, man. Let me ask you a question. If you had a son, Mountain Man Jr., he come to you 12 years old, and he said, Daddy, I feel like that I want to be with a man, I don't want a woman. How you going to handle that?
Oh, yeah. You know what?
Do what?
I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean you wouldn't? It's your son.
My son, you know.
Mount Man Jr.
Where did he go wrong? You know,
he said he didn't go wrong. That's how God made him.
No, that's a lie from the pit of hell.
Well, how come he don't want a woman? All he wants is a man. How you gonna get it out of him?
Okay, I know that's the spirit of Satan. You know, that's the pit of hell. But
I agree with that. But how you gonna get it out of him? How you gonna stop him when you bring one of your male friends from the gospel group over to the house of him looking at his male friend and talking,
It's been playing time. Oh, man. Lord, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's something because that's the dilemma that a lot of parents are dealing with.
Oh, man. But let's continue spreading love here.
Amen.
He is the reason for this.
Jesus is the reason for the seed. Thank you, my friend. Merry Christmas.
All right. Thank you.
That is the great no Q. What do you do when your son comes to you and he got that spirit? You got it, Pastor Grayson. He did. What's that now? Look, Q that came to you and told you Daddy got my boyfriend John.
Well, the Bible said prayer and fasting, but
I'm gonna do some rebuking before I start that prayer.
Yeah. Cause I ain't going down in my house like that.
I'm dealing with that with my granddaughter and stuff. Baby, look, I love you, and while I do anything, I will not do anything to hurt you, but I will not entertain you in that spirit. And you and your lover, I wish you well, but may the Lord watch between me and D while we absent one from another, because I'm not going to be released to that spirit. And I'm not going to try to force you to live a life that I don't agree with. So, you know, that's where I'm at.
Same here, but you got to get from here.
Okay, some do. Hello, guys. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Q?
Oh, I see. They want to take my jacket off. I'm like Jerry Lawler, and I got to pull my strap down. Okay, come on. I see what you got.
Okay, Pascal, let me talk about the little homosexual things that they did. I think they're just more perversion.
Okay.
Or what they're doing. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But let me say right here when you talked about Donald Trump and you played the clip with Ben Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now some of the things that Ben Carson said in that clip, I agree with. You know what I'm saying? You should have an open mind. You know what I'm saying? And you should vote your issues. When he decided to listen to Ronald Reagan, he felt that he was more in line with Ronald Reagan, you know what I'm saying, way of conservatism than he was with the liberalism that he grew up with.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
He didn't grow with liberalism. If you think about it, I see. How old are you?
I'm 41.
Okay, you're generating behind me, but at 58, with Ben Carson, my generation, what he was saying was, that's why he said Mama was right. The conservative way of life, moral values, family, don't give me a handout, give me an opportunity. That was what black people lived by.
Exactly, I agree.
Come the 80s and 90s, when Lyndon Baines Johnson started putting these welfare checks and these food stamps and Section 8 out there, he got blacks sprung on entitlements, handouts, to the point that as a culture, they feel like they can't survive unless the government give them something. And that's not who we are. We survived through slavery and people excelled. I know surely in the 21st century, you should be able to survive without the government taking care of you, surely.
And I want to add to, now I agree with everything you just said, but I want to add to this when it comes to conservative and liberalism when it comes to black people.
Okay.
If you ask the age group from, let's say, 40 and up, do they agree with homosexuality? Do you know most black people say no, they don't agree with homosexuality?
I agree.
But that's aligned with the conservatism.
But now watch
black
this.
people are so much in a poverty state.
Wait a minute, watch this though. Watch this. The same people that you said 40 and above that don't agree with homosexuality, they don't even agree with that abortion stuff.
Exactly.
But now, have you noticed that 90% of them vote for the people that's passing those laws?
And the only reason, Pastor Guy, I think that the people, black people, in not all black people, but some black people
over
vote
90%.
Democrat is because the social program and what they have to offer.
You know what I just said? They got a strong on entitlement. Okay, if you give me something, then you can go ahead and pass a law that my son stick another man's penis in his mouth, that he need to have special rights. If you go ahead and give me some food stamps, then you can go ahead and pass a law, you can kill a baby even after it's born. If you go ahead and give me some Section 8, then you can go ahead and pass a law that the world going to end in 12 years. You know, that's what they doing. They selling it out their soul. They setting out God for some entitlements.
But it's a slippery slope, Pastor God, when we had that conversation, because all of those things we dealing with, homosexuality, abortion, all those are personal sins dealing with that individual. I
got no problem with being a personal sin. I see that's not the problem. But what they're doing is they're taking their personal sex choice and they're forcing it on us that don't. Why should my child have to go to the public school and at 5 or 6 years old, some teacher takes and teach him that it's okay for him to put another boy's penis in his mouth or stick it up his rectum? And I can teach him that at home. Why is that okay?
I don't think that's okay, and I agree.
How come I can't watch TV without two men kissing two men or two women kissing each other? I want to know. This is what I want to know. R.C. Jr. is 12 years home, and he done came home and talked to R.C. Senior. That be you, and he tell you, Daddy, I want a man. What you gonna do?
Of course, that guy I would be hurt. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that doesn't line up the way I raised him. Of course, that would hurt me. You know what I'm saying?
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And he said, Dad, I saw you voting for them folks.
But like I said, Pastor God, I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell him.
What?
You know what I'm saying?
What you gonna do?
You are responsible for your own salvation if that's the life that you want to live. Because I didn't teach you that way of living.
Speaking truth. Now, I see.
You know what I'm saying?
You are speaking biblical truth right now. But now, okay, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Would you allow him to bring his lover to the house?
Of course not, Pastor God.
Okay. You're a lot more conservative. You're more conservative than I thought you were.
That goes for my daughter also.
That goes for my daughter also, yes, sir.
Now go ahead. What did you say?
I said go for my daughter also. I'm agreeing with you. So yes, sir, you right.
But Pastor God, like I said, Pastor God, I think that's when it comes to the thing that a lot of Democrats run on. When it comes to tying so many things together, because a lot of
sexual perversion, giving folks a welfare, promising folks they're gonna give them reparations, and they have all that. But what do you think about President Trump that made a deal with China to end this tariff? What do you think about that? Is that a good thing?
I think it's a great thing, Pastor God, because like I said, a lot of my friends were suffering from this tariff thing that's going on.
Okay, and now they're going to make more money. Okay, tell me, what do you think about President Trump got it passed that when you take the Family Medical Leave Act, be you male or female, that instead of you just having 12 weeks off from work, you get 12 weeks off with pay. What do you think about that? Is that a good thing?
I think that's a great thing. Look, Pastor God, let me want you to understand about me when it comes to Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I don't totally disagree with Donald Trump. A lot of things that he's doing, I do agree with.
Okay.
And a lot of things that Obama didn't do, that I think that we can get out of Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is a different kind of person.
He's a different kind of person.
Donald Trump is a person, he's a businessman. You look at Donald Trump, he was raised his whole life as a business person.
This time for black folks to do business. I got to go to the next call, but I need one more thing from y'all, see. I need the KAG. Can you do the KAG?
Now, what's that?
Keep. Gonna say keep.
Keep
America.
Pastor God,
say it. Keep America great. Keep America great. We have made America great again. Now let's keep America great.
Well, we have to have an open mind, Pastor God, and the independent mind frame going into the vote booth, and we want anything out of these politicians.
Amen. I see. Bye. Be blessed.
All right.
Hello, Carl. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, this King of Pop and Frazier, sir.
King of Pop and Frazier, sir. How are you?
Did you hear about Miss Greta?
Miss Greta, yeah, Greta was on Time magazine, looking like she possessed. She looked like she possessed. I tell you, she looked like she possessed. King of Pop.
I know, she really do.
I believe the girl parents have been practicing exorcism or something on the child. They've been practicing Luciferian worship. Something wrong with the baby, King of Pop. Something wrong with her.
I don't know, but yes, would you please explain to me the list of orders by Lyndon Baines Johnson in the welfare food stamp system?
Sure will. Lyndon Baines Johnson died in the 1964-68 Civil Rights Bill, and he was quoted as saying, once we sign this bill, we'll have these niggas voting Democrat for the next 200 years. And they've been doing it. They got all this stuff, impeachment and all that stuff in the folk. Matter of fact, no, I'll fit to play something. Let me play this here.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Prager, you the truth about Democrats. Go ahead with your question, Q.
Since I'm born late 70s, 80 baby. So I heard about it, but I wasn't there when the folks came to wear out that you got to keep the husband out the house.
Right, the man wasn't out of the house. What happened? That's what the song "Papa Was a Rolling Stone" came
9 p.m. tonight, my campaign team is bringing me an updated list of my supporters. I hope I'll see.
That was our own Donald J. Trump, y'all. Yeah, he came up with the mother, if she wanted to get welfare and stuff, then there could be no man in the house, so he had to move out his clothes, shoes. There could be no evidence of a man living in the house. The caseworker literally came over and investigated your house, so the man would move and go stay with somebody else whenever the caseworkers come around, and ended up Papa was around 2 or 3 other people staying away from this house here, and they ended up babies everywhere, and that's Papa was a Rolling Stone in that game. Send them to. Hello, caller, welcome to the show.
Oh, yes, it's me again. The line was disconnected.
Okay.
Yes, that's interesting about that Linda Bank Johnson welfare line.
It is.
It really is.
Oh, I'll tell you something else he did.
Yeah.
He passed what's called the 501c3. Okay. That was what he got these churches, they talking about they getting faith-based money. God ain't never told you to get no money from the government. And what he said about that was, this is a way to remove the church from all moral and political affairs, and it worked. That's why the church is not standing out against this homosexuality or abortion. That's why the church is following along with these liberal democratic policies. It's because they're getting paid. That's what that's about.
I heard that. Well, listen, I'm gonna hang up the phone and just save the rest of it for tomorrow.
Amen.
I have something that I save for tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
When you think about racial equality and civil rights,
my son do. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Pastor Guy?
I'm good, my friend. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man, I really want to give you thanks, man, because I've been listening to you for a while, and, you always ask the question, what has Donald Trump did against God? And I know nobody really can say
they never answer me on that.
No, they have not. And, man, I just really want to say I thank you. Because since I've been listening to you, you really have changed the way I look at Democrats and Republicans. I really thank you for that. And the other thing is, explain a little bit more about what he did with family medical leave back, and I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, yeah. What he did was he passed it right now. The government employees, the Federal Medical Leave Act, whether it's the man or the woman, say they got a new baby that's born or a parent that's sick, and they got to go care for a loved one. On the federal, the old way was you can get up to 12 weeks to go and take care of that baby or take care of that loved one, male or female. Now what the president has done is not only do you get 12 weeks off for the government employees, it's 12 weeks off with pay. He's doing that so to push the state to do it at the state level. If the state do it at the state level, then they go push it to the private industry at the private industry level. So that way when men and women across this country are having children, got to care for a loved one, you get basically 3 months with pay. That's something to be applauded. Otherwise, we can't do it. They too busy doing impeachment. Can't talk about the Chinese tariffs again. That's right. They're too busy talking about impeachment. It's so sad, man. It is so sad. The one man who is literally trying to do something for the black community has been trained to hate him so that the liberal community can stay in power to keep you living in cities like Chicago and Detroit and Memphis and Baltimore. Baltimore is rat infested. They said it themselves. 2.5 minutes got a caller. Hello, caller. Welcome to the show.
One is so blind that those who will not speak, or those who have ears and will not listen.
It is better to be silent and follow food than open thine mouth and prove it true.
Okay, all right, then. Let's prove it true.
Okay.
The gentleman just got off. He don't want to hear it. Okay? Not that you would tell him. Here's what he's done against God.
Okay.
He called grown men SOBs. That's not God-like.
He didn't call God that.
Whoa, yes, he did.
He didn't call God. Which one of the football players is God so I know how to identify him?
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
That's not what he said. Okay? God did not name no grown men SOBs.
God didn't name that, okay?
Okay, now.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
A bee, that's a female dog, right?
Okay, yes.
Isn't that true?
That's what I said.
Have you ever had some women? Matter of fact, I would imagine in your time, you done got angry. Have you ever called a woman that be weird? Tell the truth.
Man, all the time.
You done did it all the time. You did it all the time, didn't you? Okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Did that bee have a son?
Some of them did.
Well, guess what? They were sons. Let me shut up. Now, was you cussing God when you called her dad?
Sir, the man asked about don't talk. He did not ask about me.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Okay.
You just, within the last 10 minutes, you just sat here and said that God said if you mess with little kids, a millstone gonna be around your
Oh, I'm glad you said that too. You know, you always say, God look out for these little ones. I haven't heard you mention little Julio and them in 4-5 months. And CNN quit reporting about the illegal immigrants. I ain't heard you mention nothing about them being in cages. You forgot about they need to come to West Bank. They ain't got nowhere to stay. You forgot about
He just saying he don't care about the Julio.
Yeah, but ain't that something? You better be glad my time is up. Climb that pole early tomorrow. Bye. Y'all bye, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow. Go to AndreGuy.com. Click on Revelation Bridges Center. Bye, y'all.